Hey, Kentucky, this is Mary Jo Perino. Tonight, a state lawmaker is arrested for domestic violence. UK braces for a huge budget shortfall. We'll talk Lynn Bowden's draft prospects and my interview with State Senator Damon Thayer. All that and more is next on Hey, Kentucky. Welcome into Hey Kentucky, along with LEX 18 Sports Director Keith Farmer, who is my co-host as usual. How are you, Keith?
Doing well. It's kind of a breezy day out there, so good to stay, but the sun looked great.
I know. Listen, this is the first time in like a month that we haven't had a coronavirus story as our lead story, so you know it is not anything good. The state lawmaker who made headlines for challenging Republican incumbent Matt Bevin in the 2019 governor's primary race has been arrested. Authorities in Laurel County say they picked up Robert Goforth overnight for an alleged domestic assault that unfolded with 3 children at home. He faces charges including strangulation and assault. State Democrats are calling on Goforth to resign. Republican leaders say they're reserving comment until the facts are in, but denounce domestic violence. Goforth was also accused of sexual assault going back over a decade. And Keith, this is not a good look for Goforth right now.
I mean, it is just so strange how we see in our society people make sudden ascents and then just lose it all because of things that you just don't know that they have in their past. And he obviously has some demons and probably needs some time to work on that, because that is nothing that anybody is going to stand for.
Right. And Damon Thayer will actually speak about this in a few minutes here on our show. Now to the aftermath of yesterday's news that Kentucky schools will not reopen during the current academic year. Non-traditional instruction will continue for kids after Governor Beshear consulted with superintendents around the state. Although educators in Lexington are talking about easing up on assignments to reduce stress for students, and other schools are modifying schedules. In many cases, families have had to make major adjustments to adapt to this new reality of homeschooling, but parents say, some of them anyway, that it's also been rewarding.
I think that's the beautiful thing about children, and they're teaching me something every day, that they're just resilient. And while the circumstances are not ideal, I think they both understand and recognize that this is really, we're doing what we can to help the community.
If it's more time together, I think we should just embrace it and really cherish the time that we do have with the kids.
The governor says districts will work to honor students through a virtual or drive-in graduation ceremony, which would be great. On the college level, today we learned that UK is facing a $70 million shortfall in next year's budget. And Keith, what that means is furloughs, layoffs are coming, although we don't know how many and from what parts of the school, but the UK is definitely going to be hurting.
Yeah, that's not good for Lexington, considering as many people as they employ, and obviously as many students that go there. It was amazing to me. We're going to see this trend probably with a lot of universities. A friend of mine, his son went to Urbana University. They're actually going to close their doors after the spring semester of 2020. They're not even going to reopen anymore. So, I mean, that's what we're looking at with how hard hit these universities are.
And higher education is definitely going to be hit in the budget as well. So it's just they're getting it from both sides. The pandemic is taking a financial toll on the city of Lexington as well. With many businesses shut down, owners and their workers have no money coming in, and that means fewer tax dollars going to City Hall. Mayor Linda Gordon projects that Lexington will see revenues drop by $40 million in the next budget. That represents an unprecedented loss in the 46 years of merged government. Meanwhile, a Bell County community has posted something on Facebook that many Kentucky towns may be dealing with in the coming months. A combination of health and financial concerns has prompted leaders in Middlesboro to keep the city pool closed for the summer. And Keith, I imagine that's going to be happening a lot of places, but let's go back to this budget shortfall for Lexington. I mean, we're a city that had been prospering, and now this is going to be tough.
I mean, I think we all kind of knew something like this was coming, but when you start hearing those numbers, it's mind-blowing, and even more reason that we would love to see us get past this and be able to start opening up some of those businesses in order to get those tax dollars going.
Absolutely. Turning to sports now, the athletic director at Louisville says players won't be back on the football field playing until fans can be in the stands. That was part of Vince Tyra's message during a virtual meeting of University Athletic Association's board of directors yesterday. He says it's ethically questionable to encourage unpaid college athletes to grab, push, and tackle one another in a venue that fans are not permitted to enter due to health concerns.
My assumption is on this is that we won't begin until we see a significant, heading towards a major decline. If we don't have a vaccine, I think that makes it more difficult to start up. But, there's a lot unknown right now.
Tyra also says his department will cut 15% from its sports budgets and furlough staff this week. And he talked about a worst case scenario where the department could lose up to $50 million if football isn't played, and even more if there isn't basketball. Keith, I don't want to think about basketball not being around just yet, but for football, I agree with him. How can you ask the football players to come back if you're not going to let students in school or fans in the stands?
Yeah, at the same time, it feels like he's just talking with his wallet, and he's thinking about trying to make sure that they're going to have people in the stands in order to make money for the university, for the athletic department. But you're right. I think we've talked about that. How can you ask the student athletes to come back and start spring football, fall camp practices, if everything's not clear and everybody can't be around each other?
There's absolutely no way to social distance while playing football. So they
No.
can't follow CDC guidelines. It is what it is. Lynn Bowden may have torn up the field for Kentucky, but NFL draft prognosticators don't seem high on him as a pro, rather. Sports Illustrated and CBS Sports both have the legend going in the 4th round of this weekend's NFL draft. NFL.com projects him in the 5th round, and the Sporting News has Bowden dropping to the 7th round. But the biggest insult comes from longtime ESPN reporter John Clayton. He doesn't think Bowden gets drafted at all, partly because of the inability of players to work out for teams during the coronavirus era. And Keith, we have talked about this before. I've always thought that has been a benefit for Lynn Bowden because his tape is so good.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you on that. Everybody has seen what he can do, and they're all intrigued by it. They think, how can we put this guy into our lineup and make him kind of like a Taysom Hill kind of guy from the New Orleans Saints? And you know what? You keep saying those things, and all it's going to do is just fuel him even more. I don't think, if you don't go in one of those first couple of rounds, he's going to be okay. And maybe even going as a unsigned free agent or an undrafted free agent might help him as well. He can pick the team that really wants to use him.
Listen, I think if he finds the right team, he could be electric on Sundays.
Yeah.
All right, former President Bill Clinton joined John Calipari on the 2nd episode of his Coffee with Cal charity live stream yesterday. Clinton was Cal's second guest on the 20-week Facebook Live series, a joint effort to raise money for child-focused COVID-19 relief funds. The two talk sports, various charitable projects, and Clinton's grandson, who the former president says has a bright future at Kentucky.
And my new recruit, Jasper, who's got his college scholarship. How old is he now that he's got his college scholarship?
8 months old, and I think he's going to be Kentucky's Zion Williamson because he's already the size of the average 2-year-old.
That's
It's going to
funny.
be in his 3-year-old brother's clothes. He's
That
so
is-
big I can hardly pick him up.
Keith, I thought it was wonderful. I really enjoyed listening to it.
Yeah, and you know what? Go ahead and offer the scholarship because name alone, bring him in. Coach Cal's not going to be around to coach him, I don't think, but put the offer out there.
I'm still hopeful he'll be here 20 years from now. Don't rain on my parade, Keith. Up next
Okay.
on Hey Kentucky, part 1 of my conversation with Damon Thayer. The majority floor leader of the state Senate talks about the effort to reopen our economy and other topics. Stay with us.